Hi everybody, and welcome to OneNote. OneNote is a digital notebook, aka a digital three-ring binder. It's digital, so it's all on your computer, it's all stored on your computer. And if you're wondering what you would do with something like this, just imagine what you normally do with any other like paper type notebook or paper-based notebook or paper-based three-ring binder. You might go to meetings and take notes and things like that. You might go to classes, you might go to seminars, and also just keeping track of notes of thoughts that come up in your mind during the day or night, and you want to kind of store them and remember them for later. That's what this is all about. But it even goes beyond what a paper type system would give you. Using OneNote, you can actually record audio, record video, so you can record your meetings, things like that. You can create links to the internet. I mean, it's just a lot of different things that you can do. But where normally in the past you've used these, paper type systems, and it just gets to a point where you get this all on your computer and be able to do it there rather than having to do it, manually, through paper, right? So let's get started and let's create a notebook, digital notebook, and we'll kind of go from there. We'll go through some of the basics and the things that you need to know to really make this thing work for you. So first thing we'll do then is we'll start up the program, all right? And normally when you get into it, it will show a little welcome type notebook, and it has a few pages set up for you to kind of click onto and kind of read about the actual OneNote program itself. Since this is my personal copy here of the program, I've already gotten rid of that, and I've also kind of gotten rid of all my other stuff that I have in there to make it look nice and clean, the way that would look for you when you first start using the program. Now there's a number of different versions of this program that are out there. This is what we're looking with right now is the desktop version, and it's the version that has probably the most features built into it. Another version is the one that you'd find on the web. So if you're using Office 365, you might be more inclined maybe to use the Office 365 version of this, and it's just a little bit scaled down, so it doesn't have all the features that the desktop version has, but it'll work. So if you end up having to use that, it's not going to be much different from what you look at, or what you're looking at here, and the things that you'll experience here. The third one is what you kind of find on kind of like the iPads and the iPhones and things like that. So very, very smaller, much scaled down version of it. It at least allows you to go in there and add to it and edit and things like that, but it's going to be a little bit tighter to work with because obviously you've got such a small confined area there. But other than that, it's a great program overall. So the first thing we need to do is we actually need to create the notebook file. We have to make that ahead of time. It's almost like working with a database like Microsoft Access, where you have to actually create the database file and then kind of work it from there. So this is kind of similar to that type of setup. So what we're going to do here, and this is what you would do as well on your own machines too, is we go over here into File, we click on the New, all right, and we've got a number of areas where we can put the file itself. We can store it. If we go with just this PC, that's your local computer. That would be like Drive C and so forth. I guess the disadvantage of storing the file on your PC just locally is that you're not going to be able to share the notebook with other people. That's number one. And number two, if something does happen to your hard drive, you've lost everything, all right? Because any files that are on that hard drive, when it goes out, they're gone. Another way would be to store the file on one of your network drives, like your personal drive. Usually that'd be like Drive P or Drive K or something like that. And you can do that. You can get to that again going through this PC and then navigating to your network drive. But the third way, and I think this is probably the best way, is to store it on your OneDrive cloud that everybody gets with Microsoft Office. And if you've got a subscription to Office 365, you are given up to 1 terabyte of space. That's like 1,000 gigabytes. That's like 1,000,000 megabytes. We can keep on going with this, right? But it's a huge area, okay? And usually if you're storing a lot of pictures, that eats up quite a bit of it, and videos and so forth. But anyway, so that's what we're going to do for this particular series of videos. We're going to work off of the cloud, which would in this case be the OneDrive. All right, so the way we do that is we would click on to where it says OneDrive, right? And we're going to click on to Browse. And now we're in there. Now what you can do at this point is you would just type in the name that you want to give your notebook, all right? And I think what we'll do here just for this one, we're going to call this one Computer Software Training, because that's my company name. We'll go with that, okay? So we do that, hit create or hit enter. It'll ask you if you'd like to now send out some notices to some people that you'd like to maybe share your notebook with. We're going to do that later on, so at this point we're going to say not now, okay? So click that, and bingo, it takes you to here. Okay, so now what you first see when you come to this screen is the name of the notebook, right there. There it is, in the Computer Software Training, so you'll see that there. And then you'll see a tab, okay? So if you can imagine like your 3-ring binder, you got that, okay? So that's what we have right now. Computer Software Training is our 3-ring binder, okay? And what we have as a default, to start out with, is one tab. So, those colored tabbed pages that you usually have with your 3-ring binder, there it is. That's one of them, all right? And then within that area of that clip or that tab would be a single page. So they give you a default first tab or first section, as we would call it, and then you also have a page within that, all right? Now, you're pretty much unlimited as far as how many tabs you want or sections that you want to have. After a while, they're going to kind of run off the page, and they're going to get, in a little encapsulated icon that you click onto to see all the other ones in there. So usually what you want to do is kind of limit that. But we've got other little tricks too that we can make it so where even if you've got a lot of them, you can keep it at a minimum, all right? And you'll see that later on. But right now, that's what we have, all right? Now, the way I'm going to go about teaching this through the series of videos that you'll be watching is I'm going to keep everything very general. I'm going to keep it to a point where it's not distracting, where you can look at it and kind of picture your own data maybe going in the same areas, okay? So I'm just going to keep it very general and kind of go from there. So as we're doing these, try to think to yourself, okay, how would I use that feature, or how would I best use this feature over here, and just think of things like that. But I think you'll get the feel of that as you watch more and more of these videos. Anyway, so at this point then, what we can do is we can maybe go ahead and name the tab, or rename it at least, right? Because we don't want to go with the default name. To do that, a number of different ways, but probably the easiest way is just to point to the tab, double click it, just like that. And we're going to call this tab Alpha, okay? There it goes. Hit the Enter key. There it is, all right? Now, if you don't like really the color of this, what you can do is you can do a right click on the tab, go down to where it says Section Color, and pick a different color. So let's say we might want to go with Apple, like A for Alpha. How about that, right? A for Apple. All right, anyway, so that looks pretty good. Now, over on the side here is the page. So what you're looking at here is your first page that they gave you as a default. Now, for us to kind of maybe give a name to the page, all we have to do there is go up at the top of the page right here, and we'll type in something like maybe Alpha, so Alpha page, and then 1, just like that, all right? and we'll hit the enter key, and that's it. So that renames the page over there, and then it, of course, when you hit that enter key, it gets you down into the area where you normally would maybe start typing your first note. Now there's a few little options that we can kind of add to this before we get started. And you can do this now, you can do it anytime you want. But right now, the size of the page that we're looking at here, it has a good amount of width to it. You know, you can go pretty far over, and even more than what you can see here. But you can go much further down. It's a huge area. So right out of the box as a default, it's not really using like an 8.5 by 11 or an 8.5 by 14 size page. What's basically giving you is kind of like just an open space where you can just kind of throw stuff all over the place. Now, the advantage of that, of course, is the fact that you can just cram all kinds of stuff in here and just go further and further down the area there. So then the alternative here then would be to flip it over to being like the 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14. Now, to be able to do that, very simple. What you do is while you're on whatever page, which we are, you click on the view. All right, you go over here to page size or paper size, and you can see how it comes up as just auto. Now, if we go in there and change that, let's say to letter, okay. Now, at this point, it's letter size 8.5 by 11. It's portrait, you know, short end at the top there. And you got some margins and all that. Now the advantage of this, I'm kind of scrolling up and down here. The advantage of this is that it resembles a sheet of paper. So later on, if you want to take your notes and print them out, you know exactly how it's going to print out on the page. All right. The downside, obviously, would be that, you know, if you've got that limited size, you're not going to be able to put a lot on here, and therefore you're probably going to find yourself having more and more pages. And is that something that you'd want to have? All right. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can do as many pages as you want, but it's totally up to you how you want to do that. All right. And then once you've got that set up, you can just kind of close this up here, and there it is. So we're using a defined 8.5 by 11 size. Another little thing that you can do is you can actually change the page color so that it just looks a little bit different. Maybe it reads better, a little bit better than just having a white background. And you can do that while you're in the view over here at page color. And you've got a number of different colors here, very light shades of, you know, some of the primary colors here, right? So you find one that you like, you click it, and there it goes. Now, another thing you can do with OneNote that you might not have known about is that you can actually go into the, if you've got a tablet where you can, you know, write on the tablet directly with your finger, you can actually go over here into the draw, and we've got different colors that you can pick here, and you can actually click on one of these pen thicknesses and color here, all right? You can pick your color as well over here, but the point is that you can actually write things, you know, by hand, you know, like your finger doing that. And because of that idea, you might want to, if you're going to be doing something like that, when you go back into view, tell it that you want to do some ruled lines here, right? And you've got all these different ones. So if you click on, let's say this one here, there you go. Welcome to the first grade. All right. Remember this? Remember this paper? God, it looks so familiar, doesn't it? All right. So very interesting. All right, so for what we're going to do on this page, I don't want the lines or anything like that. So I'm going to go back in here and just turn those off. All right, and then I'm also going to go back to the wide open spaces page. All right, so to be able to do that, do you remember what we had to do there? We'll go over here to paper size, and we go back here and we just change that back to auto, just like that. Now we're back to what we had before. So there we go. So let's just say at this point, all right, so let's put our first note in here. So we're already, our pointer or cursor, whatever, is still kind of blinking down there. Now where we're at is we're kind of on the page, but we're really not. What we're looking at right now, and you can't really see it at this point, is that we're in a text box. It's another word for it is a placeholder. So anything that you type in, any kind of picture that you put in there, graphic, whatever you do, it's not part of the page, it's just kind of floating on top of it. It's pretty much like how PowerPoint works, you know, when you're doing your slides, okay? So you have these placeholders. And that's an advantage because you can put different notes at different areas of this particular page. Now, to start typing your note, I'm just going to do some gobbledygook here just to start it out with, but you'll do something like this. We would type away. As you can see, I'm a pretty good typist here. I can actually type up to 300 words a minute, believe it or not. You can't read them, but I can type 300 words. How about that, huh? Okay. Now I can still hit the enter key a couple times and start a new paragraph if I wanted to. Do something like that. All right. And then, you know, once you've done that, you can resize it and reposition if you want to. So if you go ahead on the side, get that double tipped arrow and kind of drag it in, you make it narrower and it becomes taller. So it actually does that automatically for you. See? So you've got that. All right. Now, if you're ready to start another, let's say another note, all you have to do, and you want to get it out of this placeholder, you don't want to add to the placeholder, you just point to wherever you want to put the next note, double click it, all right, and now a new placeholder has appeared. So you've got this placeholder here, and then you'll have this one show up like that when we start typing something here. So on this one here, we type in some more information. I should be careful when I'm typing like this. Once in a while, I'm going to probably come up with some bad word there. All right, so do something like that. And then again, I can resize it. I can reposition it just by dragging from the title bar down to there if I wanted to. All right. Another thing that you might think about doing with your some of your like note-like entries like this is maybe put a date stamp on there. It's really nice to have that because later on when you're looking back at your note pages here and you're looking at different notes, it's kind of nice to know which was the newer of the thoughts, okay, or maybe what was the oldest thought, what was your original thought. And to be able to look at the dates and see that makes, I think, a big difference, you know, as far as just kind of managing the whole thing. So let's say you're going to be putting another note in and you want to put that date timestamp in there. So what you do is just kind of point where you want to do a new note, double click it, you've got a new placeholder now, all right? Now you'll go back into insert and we have the date, we have the time, and we have them both. So what I've done here is if you right click that, you can add it to your quick access toolbar like I've already done here, okay? And the reason why I suggest that is probably a majority of what you're going to be typing into OneNote is probably going to be notes like this. And it's just a really good idea to get them stamped. So what we'll do here is we'll click on to date and time. There it goes. And then we go ahead and hit the enter key. And then you can just start typing away. All right. If you've got existing notes and you just want to just put, you know, today's date on them, for, you know, for lack of anything else, or you can just go back in there and type it in yourself. But if you want to take an existing note here, we can just click there, go back up there, and I'll just click the icon up here. And it puts the date and time in there. Hit my enter key. Go to this text box down here, or placeholder, right? And again, click on the date and time. Hit the enter key, and there we go. So now we've got two different areas here, or three different note areas here, but we have it where we have them stamped so we know when we had written those things in there. Now, if you want to add another page to this first section, we have the alpha section. A few ways you can do it. One would be just to go over here where it says add page, click onto that, and it'll add a new page. And now that one covers the other one. So here was our original alpha page 1, and here's our new one, right? So we'll go back to the title area up here. We'll call this one, we'll just call it the alpha page 2. All right, and then enter that in, and there we go. All right, let me put a few more in here. Now, another way that we can put one in a page would be to go over here, and you'll see this little tag on the side there with a plus. If we click that, it puts one right in between there, see? So we'll call this one maybe alpha, can't even type there, alpha page, and we'll make this page 3, right? Enter that in. And then we can also do it just by going down below it here. Click right there, new page. This is going to be the alpha page 4. All right, and then we'll do one more. I'll put that in between here. And this is going to be the alpha page 5. All right. Oh, man, we need a spell check or something here, huh? All right, so we've got that in there, and then that's it. So now, once you've done that, you can also rearrange the pages. That's why I kind of made them out of order here. So you can actually point to, let's say, page 2 here, hold down your mouse, and just kind of drag it up a little bit, and you'll see that little divider there. You let go at that point. You've rearranged that one. You can take this one here and rearrange that, see? So there we go. So now we've got the primary page, the first one we had, and then our 4 new ones there. Now, one of the things you might consider doing is we can actually come up with a number of different hierarchical levels here. Okay, these are all just on the primary level here. But let's just say that page 1 here, okay, it is what it is. But let's say that whatever this is about, you want to bring in like sub pages to this, okay? And this might be something that you might do if you were going to change your paper size back to 8.5 by 11, and you've got those but you've got those small defined pages, just 8.5 by 11. So you might have like a main page here, but then you might have multiple pages that really kind of belong with that, but you want to, have them on obviously separate pages. So what you can do is you can actually change the level of these, so visually it looks like, okay, page 2 and page 3 are part of page 1, technically, right? So how would you do that? Well, how would you make that happen? Well, what would you do here is you go to this page 2 here. Now, if you just do a right click on it, there's a choice in there called Make Subpage. So you can click onto that. It goes in a level. Another way you can do it is to point to this one here, hold down your mouse, and as you drag it to the right, it moves in, you let go, and there it is. You have up to 3 levels here, so what you can do on this next one here, you can actually take this one and come in there and then come in another time, just like that. So you got your 3rd level there. So this could all be part of that first one. What's interesting about this is that once you've set up this little hierarchy here, and you might have a lot of these. You might have, page 1, blah, 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 page 5, a bunch of them in there, page, 15, whole bunch, whatever you've named them, right? And it's getting to a point where you're scrolling and scrolling to find a particular page, right? Well, what you can actually do is you can take any of these groups, go to the first one here, like on this one here. See that little arrow there? You click it, it rolls everything up. See, so now you've got only your heading type pages displayed. You click on here again, it rolls it back out again. All right. So pretty cool stuff there. All right. So now that I've got you kind of thinking that way, now let's kind of reverse it just a little bit, and let's add more sections. So right now we basically have one section, one colored tab, right? And we've got these 5 pages kind of contained in that section. So now we're going to create some additional ones here, okay? So I'm going to click on to that little plus there. That gives me a chance to put in the name. We're going to make this one Gamma. Enter that one in. We'll click the plus again. We'll put in Sigma. Enter that in. And then we'll do Delta. And I'm making all these caps just so they stand out better. We'll do Lambda on the next one here. All right, and then we've got, next one will be Kappa, or Kappa. Enter that in, and then we'll do Epsilon. I don't mean to make you kind of have to sit through watching me do this, but I'm just trying to show you how easy it is to create these tabs. I'll tell you, this is a great little system. All right, so now let's look back on the Alpha tab here, and we happen to have a page. Let's just say it's page 5, okay? And page 5, and just imagine you had typed in a whole bunch of stuff in. I mean, there's all kinds, I mean, it just goes on for many feet going down, right? And you realize that you meant to put that Alpha 5 page in the beta tab, all right? You wanted to really put it there. And you weren't really thinking, and you ended up doing it here. How the heck do you get it over to beta? Well, one way would be just to kind of point to Alpha right there, hold down your mouse, drag it over here to beta, let go, and there it is. So, and it actually jumped us over to the beta section there, but there it is. That's where we were. You see how page 5 is gone. Page 5 is there. The other way that you can do it, if you've got a lot of tabs going on and it's getting a little confusing, you can actually do a right click on the page. So I'm over here in beta now. I'm going to do a right click on that. Go over here where it says move or copy, right? It brings me up a screen like this, and it shows me my file, you know, my notebook, right? And all of my different tabs, right? So I want to put this over in the Alpha tab, put it back in there, right? Do that, you hit move, off it goes from there, go back to Alpha, and there it is. So that's pretty neat. Now, it's not unheard of to have multiple files, okay, multiple notebooks, right? I'm not a real big advocate of it. I think you can make better use of this program by having just one notebook and using your tabs and other ways of kind of getting things, you know, sectioned off and more manageable. But if the need happens to be that you just want to have another notebook to use for whatever, how do you go about, you know, creating a new one? Well, it's pretty easy. Just like we did before, we'll go back over here to File, all right? We'll go over here to New, and again, we're gonna do it on the OneDrive. We'll hit Browse, and we'll call this one, we'll call it the CST Private, okay? Just like that, all right? And let me just, okay, I'm gonna type here. Sorry about that. There we go. And I'll go ahead and hit the enter key on that. And when you do that, again, it'll ask you if you want to start sharing. We're not going to do that right now, so I'll say not now. And there it goes, and it takes us right into there. Pretty straightforward, you know, what you're doing with that one. So, but because we just created it, it opens that one up here. So we're going to go back up here, see, and we just click on it to software training. That takes us right back. Now, I wanted to show you something here. Let's say that we want to put the beta tab actually on that other file. So let's just say we made a real big mistake and we actually put the tab in the wrong you know, binder. So what we do is we go over here to beta, and same thing, we right click it, go back down to where we've got the move or copy, and now you'll see this one open. We can click onto that, and there's the one section that's in there. But if we just kind of click there, click on to move, now it jumps us back to the private one, and there's beta, and there's the actual default page for it. Now, if I go back to our original binder and go back to my Alpha, I can also then say, okay, I want to take page 5 and put that in the section of that other one as well. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a right click on Alpha page 5. We're going to say move or copy, and we're going to go here to the private. We're going to go to the beta, right? And we're going to tell it to move it. So now it's moved. And now if I go back to the private, there's our beta and there's our Alpha page 5. If I then later on figure that I want to put beta and it's 2 pages back on the original, then while I'm here, I can just do a right click on beta, go down here to my move or copy, go back to here, and I can just click on to the heading right there, hit move, gone, and now I must have hit copy when I did that last one. That's why we got beta 2 now. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'll just take this one, right click it. Well, actually, I don't even have to right click it. I'll just kind of point to it, drag it over to beta, there it is, and now in beta, there it is. I can take this one now to get rid of this tab if I don't need it anymore. I can just do a right click on it, hit delete, and say yes, and off it goes. And there we go, and we're back to square one. Now, one more thing with this, as I was saying in the beginning, you're almost like limitless with the number of tabs or sections that you can have. But the problem is going to be is when you start running out of room, you're going to get like a little like a tag that you click onto, and then it will show you all the other ones that it wasn't able to display up here. Okay. Well, another way of getting around that would be to create groups and take some of the icon or some of the tabs that you have here and put them into a group, and that way you're not having to look at all of them at once. All right, so you put a few of them in a related group name and kind of go from there. Now, to create the group, what you do is you go up here, we do a right click, and there's a choice on there called New Section Group. See, this is the new section. That is the same thing as what the plus gives us, but this is where it here, the section group. So you click onto that, and it gives you that. And then at that point, what you can do is you can actually give it a name. So let's say we're going to call that one maybe National. Okay, I'll just put that in there like that. See, enter that in, and there it is. Now, look at this. We take beta, okay, point to it, and we kind of just drag it right on top like that, and off it goes. And it actually then jumps you over to that section. So we're still in our notebook, but we're in the national section, right? Now, if we click onto that, you've still got your same drop downs that you can go to. And what you can actually do is you can hit this little arrow right here, and that will take you back, see? And there's your national, right? You're going to go maybe to Epsilon here, and we can actually just take Epsilon and just drag it right on top, right? We can do that. Or we can just do a right click, move or copy, right? And again, there's our national, and if we open that up, you can see what we already have in there. But if we just click on the national, hit move, it goes there as well. So now we've got the beta and epsilon in there, see? And then again, this little arrow here, they'll take us back, and now you'll see that as one of our sections, or section group in this case. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you in this video, kind of get you started just with the overall, just the overallness of the program. In the next coming videos, we're going to be getting much deeper into the program. It's really not a hard program at all, just a lot of little features that you, if you've been using the program, maybe that you haven't seen. So I'm out here to fill the gaps, if anything, for you. So we'll see you in the next video. Hope you like this one. Appreciate you watching. Take care.